The Grand Council Hall on Dareth 4 was built to show power. Giant silver pillars touched the sky. The floor was made of living crystal that changed colors as people walked on it. Every race in the galaxy had a seat, here except one, humans. They had been invited. At last the council called it a gesture of peace. But everyone knew the truth. They wanted to remind Earth that it was still small, still new, and still beneath them. Inside the hall, the leaders of the 27 most powerful alien empires waited. Some sat with calm faces, others whispered to each other and laughed. Their eyes turned to the large, empty chair at the end of the circle. The final seat, it was made of dark metal, strong and cold. It waited for humanity. Then the doors opened. 2 human diplomats entered. One was a tall man with gray hair, the other a woman with calm eyes and a firm walk. Behind them stood 6 silent guards in black armor. The room fell quiet. The human man spoke first. His voice was deep, but calm. "We came because you asked for peace." A tall creature with green scales and 4 eyes stood. High Chancellor Zarin of the Viric Dominion. He smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Peace, yes. But on our terms," Zarin said. "You should be grateful. The galaxy is not a kind place for your kind." The humans didn't react. The woman stepped forward. "You refused it. We offered trade. You blocked it. We asked for respect. You gave us silence." Laughter echoed through the hall. One council member from the cold and pale Valari species waved his hand. "Humans are loud, emotional, always trying. To prove something, now you want a seat. What have you done to earn it?" The gray-haired man took a breath and looked around. "You fear us," he said quietly. "You fear what we might become." The laughter stopped. The room was still. Smile faded. "You're bold, human. But boldness is not strength. And you are alone." The human looked at the empty seat. "No," he replied. "We were alone. But now we understand something important. You never wanted peace. You only wanted control." The woman placed a small cube on the table. It glowed blue. She said, "Mutual respect, open borders, freedom for our colonies, a seat at this table as equals." There was silence for a moment. Then Zarin reached out and crushed the cube under his claws. It cracked and blinked out. "No," he growled. "The galaxy has no place for your kind." The man and woman exchanged one look. Then they stood straight. "Very well," the man said. "We will no longer ask." They turned to leave. Zarin laughed. "What will you do now, human? Run back to your Earth and cry. You are ants standing before giants." The human stopped at the door. He looked back. His eyes were sharp and cold. "No," he said. "We're done talking." Then he walked out. The doors closed behind them in the skies above Dareth 4. A hidden human ship received a message. Code Black. Council negotiations terminated. Inside, the ship. A silent crew got to work. No shouting, no questions. Just quiet hands typing on glowing panels. One word appeared on every screen: awaken. On the edge of council space, deep in a dead sector, something opened. A long black shape floated out from a hidden moon. Then another, and another. They were ships, but not normal ones. These were not like the ships the council had seen before. They had no lights, no windows, only armor as dark as space itself. They made no sound, but they moved with purpose. And above them, a symbol burned red, a human skull wrapped in a ring of stars. Back in the council hall, the members returned to their meetings. They spoke of trade deals, old wars, and mining rights. No one talked about the humans anymore. "They'll come back begging for help," one leader said. "They always do." But far away, in the dark places of the galaxy, something had changed. A storm had begun, and this time it had no voice, only silence. The Galactic Council didn't take the humans seriously. After the negotiations ended, most members laughed. Some called humans dramatic, others called them cowards. A few were even happy, they thought. Humanity was finally leaving galactic politics for good. But they were wrong. Very wrong. 2 days after the meeting on Dareth 4, a council communications station near the edge of space went silent. At first, no one noticed it was a small station. Old, weak signals. The council thought it was just a system failure. They sent a ship to check, The ship never came back. Next, 3 mining colonies lost contact with their command centers. No explosions, no alarms, just silence. The council began to worry. Then something happened that couldn't be ignored. Varani Empire, a warrior race known for their cruelty, had always hated humans. They had once enslaved a small Earth colony and killed thousands. They laughed during the peace talks. So when the humans walked out, the Varani acted quickly. "We'll teach them a lesson," said General Karlach, the commander of the Varani fleet. He sent 20 warships straight into Seoul. System, the home of Earth. They were heavily armed, confident, ready to crush any human defense. But when they entered the system, they found something strange. There were no human ships near Mars, no patrols near Jupiter. Even Earth's orbit was quiet. Too quiet. "This is a trap," one officer said. "Or a surrender." Karlach replied with a cruel smile. He gave the order to move closer. That's when the shadows came. Without warning, black shapes appeared. Behind the Varani ships, not dozens, not hundreds, just five human warships. But they didn't look like anything the Varani had ever seen. Their hulls were smooth and dark, no lights, no visible weapons, just long, silent giants moving like ghosts. The Varani laughed again. "They send 5 ships. Pathetic." The commander raised his hand. "Fire everything." The Varani warships launched hundreds of plasma missiles, rail slugs, and fusion beams. They filled the space with light and fire. But when the smoke cleared, the human ships were still there, untouched. Then they responded. The first human ship fired a single beam of energy-silent blue, and fast it sliced through the Varani flagship like a knife through paper. No explosion, just clean destruction. The second human ship moved close and released a pulse. The Varani ship next to it simply shut down. Dead in space, powerless. The other 3 human ships didn't even fire. They just drifted forward, and the Varani fleet turned and ran. But it was too late. Within minutes, the entire Varani force was gone. A single message arrived at Varani command headquarters 1 hour later. It was a transmission from one of the few survivors, a broken, frightened officer. His voice shook as he spoke one word: "Run." The council called an emergency meeting. Now they were afraid. "This is madness," said one alien leader. "How can humans do this? They're just one species. How did they build such ships? They must have help. Someone is backing them." No, they were building in secret. "We were blind." Panic spread through the council like wildfire. Some called for peace, others called for war. A few said nothing, but the silence was the loudest sound of all. In the darkness of deep space, more human ships awakened, not from docks, not from bases, but from hiding. Some were parked inside hollow asteroids, others were hidden behind stars. Using gravity to cloak their signal, each ship received the same message: Operation Revenant, begin. In the Travak sector, a research planet went dark. No explosion. No trace. In the Luxury Nebula, a military station vanished, gone without a sound. The humans didn't leave wreckage. They didn't leave warnings, just silence and fear. Meanwhile, on Earth, there was calm. The skies were clear. People walked the streets. Children played in parks. Ships moved quietly across the stars, but deep below the surface. Inside a hidden control center, men and women watched hundreds of screens, maps, ship movements, council reactions. All were being studied. A young officer looked at the main screen and asked, "Commander, what now?" The man in the center, with gray in his beard and fire in his eyes, answered without emotion. "We wait. Let them come to us." He looked at a star map. Red dots were spreading across the galaxy. Each one marked a human ship, or a lost council asset. "We don't need to strike first," he said. "They'll destroy themselves, trying to understand us." Far away, in council space, leaders gathered again. They reviewed reports: ships gone, colonies lost, fleets destroyed. All without warning, and still. No message from the humans. No threats, no demands, just silence. And in that silence, the galaxy began to feel something new. Not just fear, terror. The galaxy asked one question now. How did the humans do this? No one had an answer. The council had watched Earth for years. They called humans weak, emotional, and slow. Earth had no great empire, No ancient history in space, no superweapons, or so they thought. Now entire fleets were vanishing. Planets were going dark, and the humans were saying nothing. The council held secret meetings. The air inside the chamber was heavy with fear. High Chancellor Zarin slammed his fist on the table. We were blind. They must have had help. No species grows this powerful in silence. Ambassador Threll of the Thaxery whispered, Maybe they were never silent. Maybe we just stopped listening. The others stared at him while the council argued. Deep in the void between stars, a human fleet waited. The ships did not move. They didn't need to. They were cloaked hidden inside a dark gas cloud, invisible to scans, silent at the center. Of the fleet was the Revenanta massive human command ship. It was 5 kilometers long, shaped like a blade, with no visible weapons. Yet it was the most dangerous ship in the fleet. Inside, Commander Elias Voss stood in the war room. He looked at a rotating star map. Red marks spread across Council space, each one a victory. Not from battles, but from quiet strikes, sabotage, and fear. His second-in-command, Captain Rena Hale, entered the room. We've taken another shipyard. No shots fired. Their workers surrendered the moment we arrived. Voss nodded. Good. Keep pushing the line forward. Captain Hale hesitated. They're scared, sir. They don't understand how we got this strong. Commander Voss turned, slowly, and replied, because they never cared to understand us. Flashback, 40 years ago, back then, humans had just joined the galactic community. Earth was weak, its ships old, its tech limited. At their first council meeting, humans were mocked, laughed at, ignored. But Earth did not protest. It listened, and it learned. Human scientists studied everything. Council tech, ancient ruins forgotten, languages. On a frozen moon near the star Taverine, humans found something no one else had, a vault buried under black ice. Inside were remains of an ancient race, the Erithka, long extinct. They were not just advanced, they were gods compared to the Council, and they left behind more than ruins. They left seeds, schematics, blueprints, weapons beyond imagination. The Council had ignored the sight calling. It cursed humans. Didn't. They took the data and left quietly. They disappeared from the Council's eyes, while the aliens watched wars and trade. Earth turned inward, in underground cities and secret stations. Humanity built Project Revenant. They didn't copy the ancient tech, they improved it. New armor, cloaking devices, weapons that worked in silence, energy fields that made ships untouchable, and AI controlled by strict human minds. No rebellions, no mistakes. Humans built fleets in places no one could sunder oceans. Inside dead moons, behind false stars, the Council thought Earth was asleep, but Earth was training, preparing, waiting back in the present. Ambassador Threll watched a Council report from his private chamber. The footage showed a planet gone dark, not destroyed, just turned off. Every system frozen. Dot in the sky above. A black ship hovered, no lights, no sound, just watching. Threll turned off the screen. His claws trembled. They're not at war, he whispered. They're sending a message. He remembered the last words spoken by the human ambassador. We're done talking. Now they were acting. In the far north of Council space, another race was watching the Krillians. The Krillians had once traded with humans long ago. They respected Earth's courage, even helped Earth settle a few colonies. Now they watched with concern and a little awe. Admiral Vec of the Krillian Defense Fleet sat in silence, watching a human ship remove a pirate base with perfect precision. No civilian was harmed, no resource stolen. They didn't take, they didn't boast, they simply cleaned up the mess. They don't want the galaxy, Vec muttered. They want justice. In Council space, panic grew. Some races started to blame each other. Old rivalries reignited. Trust fell apart. Ships turned on allies. Leaders hid in bunkers. And still, the humans said nothing. No messages, no demands. Just silence and fear. On Earth, Commander Voss stood in the hall of Memiria, long corridor, filled with holograms. Each image showed a human colony that was once destroyed, ignored, or left to die. While the Council did nothing, each name was a reason. A reason why they no longer trusted peace. Why they stopped asking for respect. Voss placed his hand on the final hologram. New Horizon. Colony wiped out by raiders while the Council looked away. We begged them, he whispered. They laughed. He turned toward the command center. There was no sound in space, no warnings, no alarms, just shadows moving through the stars. They appeared without notice, hundreds of dark human warships, gliding across council space like silent ghosts. No lights, no engine trails, just pure black steel. These were the ships the galaxy would soon fear. They were called the Ghost Fleet. On the edge of council territory, a small defense post named Zareth 9 picked up something unusual. Unknown signals multiple, said the operator. No IDs, no response to hails. The station commander, a tall insectoid named Tarkavesh, narrowed his eyes. How many ships? The operator's voice shook. Over 100 there surrounding us. Tarkavesh ordered shields up and weapons ready. But it was already too late. The lights dimmed, screens went dark, power vanished. Every system on Zareth 9 went silent. Outside, the human ships didn't fire a single shot. They didn't need to. A single transmission was left behind, just 5 words. You watched, you did nothing. The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Entire defense posts were shutting down. Not destroyed, shut down. And in their place, human ships simply hovered, unmoving, watching. The council was in chaos. What do they want? Screamed one. Ambassador, why won't they talk to us? They're trying to scare us. No, they're trying to show us something, whispered Threll of the Thaxery back on Earth, in a deep underground command bunker. The human leadership remained calm. Commander Voss stood before a large screen showing council space. Red zones marked systems now under human observation, no bombs dropped, no civilians harmed, just control, precise, cold. Silent, Captain Rena Hale entered. We've secured 32 outer systems. No resistance. Voss nodded. Continue. Minimal damage. No deaths unless necessary. Hale paused. The council is begging for a message, a demand, something. Voss replied, they already got the message. In the heart of council territory, on the central world of Dareth 4, the council gathered in emergency. 1,000 voices shouted. Some wanted to strike back, some wanted to surrender. Others blamed each other. But then, every screen in the chamber turned black. A human voice played through every speaker. Calm, steady, terrifying. This is not war. This is justice. For every colony you abandoned, for every plea you ignored, for every life you called lesser, you watched us bleed. Now you will watch us rise. And then the screens went dead. No name, no face, just the voice. Near the trade world of Velthor Prime, a massive alien city stood proud, rich, untouched. By war. Until that day, one human ship appeared in orbit. Just one. The aliens laughed at it, mocked it. Their planetary defense grid locked on and fired. But the ship did not break. It moved closer then. With a blue flash, it fired a pulse beam straight. But it did not explode. Instead, the city's power shut down. Lights went out. Systems failed. The population stood in shock, and then a new light appeared on every screen. In every building, a single phrase. This is what helpless feels like. No one died, but no one ever forgot. On the council homeworld, Chancellor Zaran stood in his private chamber, shaking. He had mocked humans, laughed at them. Now he barely slept. He stared at his security screens, waiting for the black ships, waiting for the moment they came for him. He wasn't alone. All over the galaxy, council leaders hid in fear fortresses, bunkers, deep space stations, but the humans didn't come for them. Not yet. They came for their systems. Their power, their pride, and yet still, not one human demand had been made. No requests for land, no peace treaties, no broadcasted speeches, just silence, and the black flag of Earth, burning red across captured systems. A skull, wrapped in a ring of stars, in the secret meeting room of the Krillian leadership. Admiral Vec spoke to his people. These humans, they could destroy us all. Should we fight? Asked one general. No, Vec said. They didn't destroy us when they could. That means something. The Krillians had once helped Earth during its early days. A few transport ships, a shared water supply. Maybe the humans remembered. Maybe that small kindness had saved them. Now, Vec stood tall. Prepare our ships, but not for war. Prepare to talk. Far away, deep in Council territory, an old space station floated alone. Had no weapons, no shields, just ancient research logs. A single human warship arrived and hovered. Nearby, the old alien scientists inside panicked, but the human ship didn't fire. Instead, it broadcast one simple message: "You were never our enemy," and it left. The Council's greatest fear was no longer death. It was understanding, because now they saw the truth. The humans never wanted war. They had offered peace. They had begged for fairness. They had waited, but the Council gave them only mockery, betrayal, and silence. Now the silence was being returned, and in that silence, the galaxy trembled. Fear is a strange thing. It starts small like a whisper, but soon it becomes a scream. Across the galaxy, fear of humans was now everywhere. Not because of what they said, not because of what they destroyed, but because of what they didn't do. Didn't speak, they didn't demand, they didn't explain. They simply acted and vanished, again into the stars. On the Council homeworld of Dareth 4, Chancellor Zaran no longer gave public speeches. He stayed deep underground, surrounded by guards. His staff whispered that he couldn't sleep, that every night he dreamed of black ships above his city, ships that watched, ships that waited in the trading hubs. Merchants refused to sell to humans, but in private they begged to trade. "Just don't tell anyone we sold to Earth." One trader whispered to another, "We don't want trouble on mining worlds." Workers painted human flags on their cargo containers. Why? Maybe they'll leave us alone, they said. Maybe they'll see we're not part of this. Even pirates famous for attacking. Anyone started avoiding human-controlled space. One pirate captain left a voice message. "After spotting a human warship, we're not crazy, we steal from the weak. The humans are not weak." Back on Earth, Commander Elias Voss received a report from Captain Rena Hale. She stood straight, but there was confusion in her eyes. "Sir, many Council planets are surrendering." Without a fight, Voss nodded. "Good, but they're surrendering to no one. We haven't even contacted them. They know," Voss said quietly. "That's enough." Meanwhile, the Galactic Council was falling apart. Leaders began turning on each other. You gave them weapons. You ignored their colony distress calls. You laughed at their ambassador. Old friendships collapsed. The Unity Pact. Council's core alliance was now broken. Some members fled to distant systems. Others tried to build their own fleets. A few even started talking to the humans, in secret, on the desert world Chorus VA. A Krillian scout ship landed in a hidden canyon. Waiting. There was a human dropship. The two teams met in silence. The Krillian officer stepped forward. "We're not your enemy." The human captain nodded once. "No weapon raised, we remember," he said. "You helped us when no one else did." The two sides talked for hours, and that day, something rare happened. An alliance was reborn. But not everyone wanted peace. The Varana, furious over their lost fleet, prepared a second attack. They gathered 60 warships near the border of human space. "We will crush them," their warlord shouted. "This time, we send everything." But before they could launch, every one of their ships went offline. No explosions, no warning, just black screens, flickering lights, and silence. A message appeared in their command center. "We warned you once." The Varani surrendered 3 hours later, in a quiet part of the galaxy. Ambassador Threll of the Thaxery sat alone. He watched old videos of humans being laughed at during council meetings. He remembered the smirks, the insults, the jokes. Now no one was laughing. He turned to his assistant and said, "We were wrong." "About what?" the assistant asked. Threll's voice was soft. "About everything." On the civilian side, people across the galaxy were confused. Children asked, "Why don't the humans attack us?" Farmers wondered, "Why do they leave our planets untouched?" One young alien student wrote a message and posted it to the Galactic Network. "Maybe the humans don't want revenge. Maybe they just want us to feel what they felt, powerless, alone, ignored." Back on Earth, inside a deep underground chamber, an old recording played on a loop. It was the last message from a human colony destroyed by pirates years ago. "To any council ship, we are under attack. Please help us. Please," someone answer. Anyone. No one had ever answered that message. But now humanity had. Not with words, but with fire and steel. Commander Voss stood in the silent control center. Captain Hale entered again. More systems are shutting themselves down. They're surrendering before we arrive. Voss looked at the map. A third of Council space was now under human watch. No war declared, no flags planted, just presence. Hale asked carefully, "Sir, what happens next?" Voss replied without emotion, "We make sure they never forget." And somewhere far away, on a hidden listening station, a new message was detected. It was short, but it spread through the galaxy like a storm. They left the negotiations. Now we beg for mercy. The galaxy was broken. The Council was no longer in control. Human ships moved through space like shadows, and entire systems simply gave up. But in the middle of all this fear, something new started to grow. Hope not everyone wanted to fight the humans anymore. Some remembered Earth as it once was friendly, curious, peaceful, and some remembered their own choices good or bad. One such race was the Krillians long ago. When humans first left Earth, it was the Krillians who helped them. They gave Earth its first deep space fuel supply. They shared star maps. They treated humans with respect when the Council did not. That was years ago now. The Krillians had to decide, would they stand with the dying Council or take a new path? Admiral Vec of the Krillian fleet stood before his war council. "Two options," he said. "Join the Council's Panicore. Try something different." A young officer stepped forward. "But the humans are everywhere. Some say they've built ships even the gods would fear." Vec looked out a window at the stars. "They don't want to destroy us. Not yet. They could have done it already." Meanwhile, in a hidden part of space, a Krillian special unit was sent on a secret mission. Their goal, enter human-controlled space and find out the truth. They used an old stealth cruiser and entered the Sol system. At first, everything was calm. Then came the warning. "Unidentified ship. Turn back now." The voice was cold, human, but the Krillian commander responded, "We come in peace. We helped you once. We only ask for one meeting." There was a long silence. Then the human voice returned, "You may land, but come unarmed." The Krillians landed on a dark moon near Jupiter. Waiting for them was a single human dropship and a team of black-armored soldiers. "No," one raised a weapon. The Krillian commander stepped forward and bowed slightly. "I am Commander Rallick of the Krillian Defense Force. We are not here for war." The human officer, a woman with silver in her hair, stepped forward. "I am Major Alina Ward. We remember your help during the New Horizon crisis." Rallick nodded. "Then there is still trust between us." Ward didn't answer right away, but she didn't say no back on Earth. Commander Elias Voss watched a live feed of the meeting. He turned to Captain Hale. "What do you think?" Hale replied. "They were the only ones who showed kindness, even when others laughed at us." Voss stared at the screen. "Let's give them one chance." While the humans and Krillians talked, another group watched from afar. A secret race known as the Jernai, who had always worked in the shadows of the Council. They feared the humans more than anyone. Silence. The Jernai wanted the old order to stay. So they came up with a plan. Make the humans look like monsters, and make the Krillians pay 1 week later. A Krillian trade ship exploded while delivering aid to a neutral system. Council News. Channels showed fake videos human ships attacking civilians. The galaxy exploded with panic. The Council accused the Krillians of helping a rising human empire. They called for war, but the truth was a lie. The humans never attacked that. Shipped up the Jernai did, and the humans knew it. Admiral Vec received a secure message from Earth. "We know you didn't betray us, but others want us to believe it. Be careful. They want to make us enemies again." Vec responded with only 3 words. "We stand ready." On a distant station, the Jernai celebrated. The humans will strike. The Krillians will fall. The galaxy will unite in fear. But their celebration ended quickly, because a human fleet appeared outside their station. No warning, no mercy. The Jernai station was shut down in 10 minutes. Not destroyed, just erased. Every file taken, every system frozen, and one final message. Left behind, "We see you." Now the Krillians had a choice. Join the humans, or stay neutral and risk everything. Admiral Vec spoke to his people. The humans remember kindness, but they do not forget betrayal. We helped them once. Now we help them again. And that day, the Krillians made a decision. They stood with Earth, inside the Revenant. Commander Voss looked at the updated star map. New systems were joining Earth not by force, but by choice. What happens now? Captain Hale asked. Voss answered calmly. Now the Council knows it's not just us anymore. The Council had ruled the galaxy for centuries. They decided who got resources. They controlled trade, laws, and borders. They silenced the weak, and they laughed at humans. But now, the laughter was gone. So were the ships. So were the leaders. So were the leaders. So was the power. The humans had never fired first. They didn't need to. Their silence, their precision, and their ghost fleets did more than bombs ever could. And now, it was time to end it. Inside the Grand Hall of the Council on Dareth 4, the last remaining members sat around the great silver table. Only 11 out of the original 27 still came. The rest had fled, surrendered, or vanished. Chancellor Zoran was there, pale, tired, afraid. He looked at the others. "We must call for peace," he said quietly. Ambassador Threll of the Thaxri replied, "There can be no peace unless they want it." "We were the rulers," shouted another alien. "Now we beg like worms." "No," Threll said. "Now we finally understand." In orbit above Dareth 4, space shimmered. Dozens of human warships arrived slow, silent and black as night. No weapons were fired, but the message was clear. "This is it." Commander Elias Voss stood on the bridge of the Revenant. He looked out at, "Then we'll give them one final message." He stepped forward and gave a command. "Begin Phase Omega." All across Council space, the final phase began. Human fleets moved with perfect timing. Council military bases, disabled deep space stations, emptied communication hubs, silenced no deaths. No flames. Only removal, like cleaning up a mess. On the surface of Dareth 4, the skies darkened, not from weapons, but from hundreds of drop ships descending quietly. One landed in front of the Grand Hall. The doors opened. Black-armored humans stepped out, calm, organized. Fearless. At the front stood Major Alina Ward. She looked at the alien guards outside the council chamber. "We are not here to kill," she said. "We are here to finish it." The guards said nothing. They simply stepped aside. Inside, the council members stood frozen as the humans entered. Major Ward walked straight to the center of the room. She placed a small black cube on the silver table. Then she pressed a button. Blue light shined, and a message played. It was Commander Voss's voice. "This is not conquest. This is conclusion. For too long, you held the galaxy in chains. You ignored cries for help. You sold peace like a product. You laughed at the ones who came to speak. We gave you a choice. You chose pride. Now you will live with the result." The light faded. Silence filled the room. Then Zarin, once proud and cruel, fell to his knees. He whispered, "What happens to us now?" Major Ward looked at him with steady eyes. "You rebuild what you broke." That day, across the galaxy, every planet received the same transmission. The Council has fallen. The age of silence is over. We are not your rulers. We are your reminder. Do better, or we will return. In the months that followed, the Council was dissolved. Human Krillian leadership created a new system, the Terran Accord. Small races were finally given a voice. Aid was sent to forgotten colonies. War profiteers were hunted down and removed, and the human fleet, it vanished back into the dark, back into silence. But everyone knew, they were watching. On a quiet moon, Chancellor Zoran now worked in a factory, building food crates, planting crops, teaching children about mistakes. One day, a child asked him, "Why didn't you listen when the humans tried to talk?" Zarin didn't answer. He only stared at the stars, back on Earth. In a quiet garden overlooking the sea, Commander Elias Voss stood alone. He watched the sunrise. Captain Hale joined. "Him, it's done," she said. Voss nodded. "Not done, just corrected." They stood in silence. Then she asked, "Do you think they've learned?" Voss answered softly, "We'll know if we never have to come back." The galaxy was quiet again. No battles, no cries for help, no negotiations. Filled with lies, the Council was gone, and in its place, Something new had begun. They called it the Terran Accorda network of cooperation between species, not ruled by humans, not controlled by anyone. It had only one law. No voice shall be ignored. The races who once mocked Earth now sat beside them, and they listened, because they remembered what happened when they DIDN, single quotes D. in the far reaches of space. Where council patrols once abused power, things changed. Old colonies received food. Small worlds finally got protection. Refugees returned to homes they thought lost forever, not because humans demanded it, but because the fear of being ignored had reached every corner of the galaxy and Earth. Earth returned to silence. No broadcasts, no warnings. Their warships vanished again into the void. Like ghosts, like myths, people spoke of the humans with mixed emotions: fear, respect, awe. Children across planets played games where they pretended to be the Black Fleet. And in schools, teachers told the story of a species that once asked for a seat at the table. She asked, "Why didn't the humans stay and rule?" The teacher, an old Krillian, smiled gently. "Because they didn't want to rule, they wanted us to understand." In a secret part of space, hidden by a nebula, the Revenant still floated, not active, not armed, just watching inside. Commander Elias Voss sat in the captain's chair. The lights were dim. The engines quiet. Captain Hale entered. "Another system. Just joined the Accord," she said, unprompted. Voss gave a tired nod. "No threats." "None," they said. "We don't want to be like the old council." He allowed himself a rare smile. Somewhere else in the galaxy, on a planet once ruled by greed and cruelty, a new statue stood in the capital square. It was not of a human, it was of a black warship. No markings, no names. Beneath it, a plaque. Asterisk, asterisk. They came in silence. They left in silence. But we will never forget the sound they made. Asterisk, asterisk, on Earth. People moved on. They rebuilt what had been ignored for too long: old farms, clean oceans, forgotten cities. Children were told what had happened, but not to scare them, to remind them, to teach them that silence has power, and dignity must be protected, not through pride, but through patience. One day, a new alien ambassador arrived on Earth. He walked into the rebuilt Terran Council Hall, nervous but hopeful. At the door, a human greeted him warmly. "Welcome," she said. "How can we help?" The ambassador bowed. "I came to listen." The human smiled. "Then you're already better than the last ones." As the years passed, the old council members disappeared from memory, but Earth's message remained, not carved into metal, not recorded in some database, but remembered in the hearts of those who once laughed, and now teach others to listen. In deep space, a beacon blinked on a quiet moon. A simple recording played once every year. The same voice, the same words. "We asked, you refused. So we reminded you. Humanity is not weak. Humanity remembers." And Black Ship waited in the dark. It did not move. It did not shine. It simply watched, because the legacy of Earth was not war. It was the warning that silence never meant surrender. It meant preparation. It meant preparation. It meant patience. And when the time came, it meant fire.